The Supreme Court bench comprising of Justices B.R. Gavai and K.V. Viswanathan has come down heavily against quote-unquote Bulldozer Justice and have said that properties cannot be demolished just because they belong to a person who is accused of a crime. The Apex Court has further said that it would propose to lay down guidelines on the issue to ensure that houses, if demolished, are done so as per the law and not according to the whims and fancies of people wanting to indulge in some form of justice or revenge. This judgment holds considerable importance, giving the several instances of houses of rape accused that are being raised in broad daylight in different states across the country, especially in Uttar Pradesh, where homes of those who have been accused of rape were raised in cases like the Bulldozer rape case, in the Chandolia rape case, in the Balia rape case, the Meerut rape case, Eta and many others. While the law terms an individual innocent until proven guilty, the debate now seems to get more tricky given the alarmingly slow rate of conviction in India, where cases can go on for decades if not years. It is important for us to understand what really can be done. If raising of a house of a rape accused is incorrect, then so is the delay in justice for decades for the victim, is what is being said. As the justice system seems to now have no real solution on how to improve the time frame within which courts deliver verdicts. Is it permissible for other organs of the government or authorities like the executive to then step in and conduct what may seem like justice to many? We take this conversation forward. I have with me Ashwani Kumar Dubey. I have with me Arin Kumar Jain, former DGP of Uttar Pradesh, Sanket Yanagi, another advocate with us on the broadcast, and I have with me Ramakant Gaur, senior lawyer, also with us on the broadcast. Let me begin this conversation with Mr. Arin Kumar Jain. Mr. Jain, Bulldozer Justice, something that in a way was coined by the Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister himself as a term, and we've seen it now being applied to several other BJP-ruled states as well. Somewhere, yes, the Supreme Court is right in wanting to strike a balance in terms of what really is happening and taking cognizance of the fact that it could perhaps be misused. But this is where it gets very tricky, because people are, of course, turning to the courts to deliver justice, and the courts believe that it ought to take as much time as possible. The principle of the courts is that not even a single innocent person shall ever be held guilty for something that they've not done. And if that takes 10-15 years, it's all right as long as justice is delivered. But it does lead to some sort of frustration. What are your thoughts, sir, as someone who's been a part of the police force? Did the Bulldozer Justice movement somewhere help in curbing crimes or help instill some sort of a fear? Or do you feel that after some point it was being misused by the state machineries as well?
This is a very complicated issue. Number one, I am very much in favor of what Supreme Court has said, that you can't demolish the house of a criminal if he is involved in some crime. Just because he is involved in some crime, you go and bulldoze the house. That is absolutely illegal. In UP, there is a misconception in the country that at the whims of local administration, police, houses are being demolished. You have to understand that there is file on each and every illegal construction which has taken place. Notices are there. Yes, it is possible that Development Authority might not have taken notice of that or might not have resorted to demolition.
Yes.
But once you commit crime, a ghastly crime, you are a mafia. You are a mafia of the stature of Atiq and Mukhtar. And surveys being done of the lands, as the government land which you have captured, which you have illegally, you have constructed multi-story buildings over it. And if demolition notices have been issued, then state government is very much within its rights under municipal laws to demolish such structures. I challenge that in UP, just point out one case in which illegally construction of an accused has been demolished. Yes, it is correct that action is being taken. I accept that action is being taken against those persons who are involved in heinous crimes, who are involved in mafia activities, and the notices which were issued by development authorities. In those cases, police force has been provided on the request of the concerning authority, and demolitions have taken place. I don't think there is anything wrong in it, but yes, you have to you have to follow a due process of law. You can't just go and demolish that. If somebody has raped, you go and demolish the house, and house has been built legally. That is absolutely illegal.
Okay, Mr. Ramakant Kaur wanted to come in there.
So when you are ignoring, then you are pinpointing and eradicating somebody's house. And I beg your pardon that by forging certain letters, giving these authorities a vindictive power is not called for. And that's the reason. And this is not what I'm saying. Now I take the instance of Guwahati High Court. Guwahati High Court says, ऐसा तो रोहित शेट्टी की फिल्म्स में भी नहीं होता. You cannot be given this kind of power. Nobody is safe in this country if this is permitted. This is Guwahati High Court. Patna High Court. Patna High Court says, ये तमाशा बना रखा है. किसी का भी घर तोड़ देते हो. किसी के भी घर पे बुलडोजर लेके आ जाते हो. Madhya Pradesh High Court in January 2023. Now, Madhya Pradesh High Court says it is not permissible. You have to give a person appropriate opportunity to respond, and eradication, demolition is the last resort. You cannot correlate with an accused of crime and bulldozer action at the same time. And had this been happening, Arvindji has rightly said, municipal body might have issued notice. This action is being taken in recourse of law. No. The next day newspaper says that all the politicos involved into the dispensation of the process acclaims that we got this done. Now, every clerk to the President of India is bound by the Constitution. And Constitution is being manifested through various laws. Which law in the country permits them to correlate bulldozer action with the action of the offense of a criminal? And of that criminal who is still accused, who is not even convicted. I say even if he is convicted, what gives you right to demolish? And then you acclaim that this is our way of doing justice. If this is justice, then this is Jungle Raj. This is not a Raj derived or manifested by will of the Constitution. It is not a democracy, it's a banana republic.
Okay, all right. I want to bring in Mrs. Sanket Yanagi as well into the conversation. Mr. Yanagi, what are your thoughts on really what the courts have said, and how does one then strike a balance in terms of delivering justice? Because at the end of the day, the state governments and the actions that they're taking are also coming in from a perspective that once the matter, or there's a belief today that once the matter actually reaches the courts, then it could take many decades also before it is resolved, especially when it is matters related to heinous crimes. And rightly so, the court wants to follow, of course, all processes involved, but there is a lot of frustration and questions that the state governments then have to answer to the people, because the people are truly wondering what exactly is going on. Why is it that you're not being able to convict criminals who have a history? People are asking legitimate questions. The state governments are then responsible for answering. The state police is responsible for ensuring people's safety. And at the end of the day, it's the courts, which we've seen in many cases, delay matters sometimes beyond what is reasonable, as we also saw in the Nirbhaya case.
First of all, it's a very long question, though I would like to answer. And while answering, I would just like to acknowledge what Mr. Arin Kumar and Ramakant Kaur has said, and accept that view. In addition to the same, without repetition of what they have said, I would only add few points. Number one, a person is booked or charged with certain offenses as having committed. And there is a law which deals with the punishment. Prescribed punishment is only maximum allowed under law. If a person has committed any crime, like assuming for a moment heinous crimes like murder or something else also, he is charged under that provision and there is a punishment prescribed, and except that the government or any authority has no power, even the court has no power to avoid some punishment other than what has been prescribed under law. But now, is a retaliatory action or punishment is permitted under law, under that provision? First of all, my answer is no. It has not been permitted. But what the government says, governments as on today are saying, many governments, and not particular about a party A or party B, their answer is, in retaliation of what has been done, what has been termed as an offense, a demolition action has been initiated. First of all, there is no provision as such to proceed with demolition, which is not permissible under law, particularly under the charges which he is facing, an accused is facing, number one. Number two, if they want to demolish, nobody can stop them from demolishing if there is any violation. Demolition is permissible only under certain circumstances of the municipal laws. And it is again governed by the laws prevailing at that state. And that also requires a proper procedure to be followed and the due process of law to be followed before demolition. One day, a person alleged to have committed an offense. Next day, you cannot take the law under the municipal law more particularly and demolish without following the procedure prescribed under law. So taking law in their own hands by the municipal authorities or by the government is equally making them punishable for violating law or depriving one's life or personal liberty. Right to shelter is also a fundamental right under the Constitution, more particularly under Article 21. As a retaliatory action, if the government want to deprive someone's right to life or the right to shelter, it's again a fundamental right violation by the state, and it's a human right violation more so. And the government is equally punishable. For one person having committed an offense, assuming for a moment, in retaliation, the government is not required to commit another offense. So in my opinion, government's action, unless it is not followed by the due process of law and without following the procedure prescribed under law by giving the opportunity to have the audio trumpet, that's having a hearing to be given, having the adjudication done, and thereby proceeding finally as per the order for demolition. They cannot jump all these legal procedures and jump to some conclusion to say that because he has committed an offense A, I will commit another offense B, which is demolition. No, that's not permissible. We are ruling in a state which is governed by the rule of law. We are not living in a jungle. Government is bound by rule of law. That's it.
Okay. I bring in Ashwani Kumar Dubey into the conversation as well. Ashwani Kumar Dubey, just want to understand from you, as far as what the Uttar Pradesh government has been doing, as Arin Kumar Jain, former DGP, also pointed out, that it is in certain legitimate cases wherein there have been people involved in mafia activities who also then, as we all know, if you're a part of the mafia, if you're a part of the gang, you're not just, it's not one activity in isolation. They would end up having properties that are on illegal land, properties that they've seized from other people, government properties that they're sitting on, and the state government, the state machinery has decided to bulldoze them as part of, some sort of quick delivery of justice. Does that equate us to then somewhere living in a banana republic, which is what some lawyers and of course, some wordings of the Supreme Court are also alleging, that you're trying to take the law in your own hands by doing so?
Vika, in law, there is no term in jurisprudence like a bulldozer justice. What Dr. Jain has said, he emphasized on 2 points. DGP Jain said that there were notices issued under the municipal laws to those unauthorized constructions, might be way back. Let me clarify very candidly and very respectfully. There are 2 aspects. Demolition of a house and removal of encroachment from public land are 2 different things. There is no time prescribed that when that demolition or encroachment made on public land has to be done, because that is what the Supreme Court of India emphasized and said, that we have to formulate guidelines in order to understand the proximate link of committing an offense and bulldozer justice. There are 4 aspects. 1, the demolishing a house solely because the owner was charged during the proceedings. That cannot be done. 2, there is a need to have a pan-India guidelines in response to the concerns that authorities in many states are using the demolition of accused homes before declaring them as a convict or offender by a court of law. 3, a father may have, the court was very right saying that, look, you immediately come and demolish the house without verifying that whether the son or father or brother have committed an offense, who did not comply and do the bulldozer justice. But otherwise, if you see, the property demolition must adhere to certain laws. What are those laws? Under the municipal, local laws, first the notice has to be issued, the reply has to come, then the order has to be passed, then right to appeal. This is a fundamental right. And even under Article 300A of the Constitution of India, a person cannot be deprived of in the property otherwise in the due procedure of law. Now, whether those houses which have been bulldozed were illegally constructed, 1, the due process of law was followed, 2, whether they were victimized, 3, whether राम ने ऑफेंस किया इसलिए श्याम भी ऑफेंस करेगा, 7 घर में से 1 घर आपने तोड़ दिया, 6 घर नहीं तोड़ा, that is not correct. Whenever it comes to the knowledge of the authorities that some illegal construction, illegal encroachment has been done, the Supreme Court itself says, Supreme Court in Municipal Committee, which is one of the leading judgment, Municipal Committee Karnal Nirmala Devi says that every street which is a public street vests in the Municipal Committee, and if unauthorized construction is made by encroaching on it, the Municipal Committee has the power to have the unauthorized encroachment and construction removed. Even the Supreme Court have further said in the MC Mehta Union of India that encroachment on public land, road and unauthorized construction is a menace. It not to be tolerated. But timing is important, yes. There has to be a proximate link between committing an offense and demolishing the house. If demolition of the house is in terms of the due process of law, there is no problem at all. But if demolition of house is without the due process of law, even it is an authorized construction, then the person has a remedy to approach to the court. What happened in Jharkhand? Honorable Jharkhand High Court directed the authorities to pay 5 lakhs rupees to the person whose house was demolished because the due process of law was not followed and that was wrongly demolished. So we don't live in a kangaroo courts, and the governments cannot perform the act of the courts. But yes, if there is unauthorized construction, that has to be demolished. Now, 3 things. 1, when the construction was being raised, where were those authorities? 2, if it is being demolished, then why no punitive action against the authorities who were responsible to look into and ensure that public land is not encroached upon? And 3, whether any illegal activity or that house was constructed by the convict, I'm using the word, not the accused, by using the unfair means, by encroaching upon somebody's land, then there is no embargo and demolishing it. So that is what the Supreme Court emphasized. Supreme Court has categorically says we need a pan-India basis guidelines, and those guidelines has to be looked. Even otherwise, if you see, the Honorable Supreme Court in one instance says that certain actions taken by certain governments are also good. That is what the Supreme Court said. We are not putting a stay. But yes, we will formulate the guidelines. And if anyone is aggrieved, that person may go to the local court, may go to the district court in Uttar Pradesh, may go to the High Court, may go to the Supreme Court. And that petition is pending before Honorable Supreme Court. So immediately it cannot be said. Can you say that any construction which has been demolished, I'm not talking about the current, what the justice, immediate justice has been done, in previous, whether that house which has been demolished, those people have approached to the court saying, भैया ये तो मेरा ही घर था, मेरी ही जमीन पर बना था, हमने पैसा लगाकर बनाया था, ये आए जैन साहब और पुलिस लेकर आए, जैन साहब ने तोड़ दिया. नहीं, because certain flaws have been there. Maybe हर देश में जितना कंस्ट्रक्शन हुआ है कहीं ना कहीं वो है उसमें प्रॉब्लम.
Okay.
But the yes.
Okay, Mr. Sanket Yanagi wants to come in there.
Insofar as demolition is concerned, that's the last resort one has to adopt in a case where there is a violation of the guidelines or any of the municipal policy or the municipal law violations. That decision would be the last resort only after final adjudication by all the authorities concerned, including the appeal. Assuming for a moment that there is an adjudication by one authority, it does not mean that it has attained finality unless there is a remedy which is not available under law. If there are remedies of appeal or revision, whichever the law permits, are still open for a party aggrieved to approach, and the party is entitled to approach, and during that proceedings until the final adjudication has not been done and the final order or the order of demolition board so attains finality, one cannot take that step. And more so, there is something involved in the property. A human being is residing, animals may be residing, and one cannot just brush it aside just by way of a demolition. That's not a law permitting. So one has to adopt the due process, and it must be coupled with a human approach. Assuming for a moment that there is an order of demolition which has been upheld by the final court. For example, that still an opportunity be given for a person to shift from one place to another place. And only thereafter, having given reasonable opportunity, the person is still not following the rule or the order of the court, then there are certain stringent actions which could be taken. But yet, the retaliatory action, as proudly being claimed by the government more so, and the ministers and party officials, that it is in retaliation to what has been done. They may say it with pride, but it is very painful. They cannot take law in their own hands.
Okay.
Because someone has taken law hands, it does not enable the government to take law into their own hands. It's not permissible.
Okay.
And government is more accountable, it should be more responsible and have human approach. That's what is my opinion here.
Okay, all right. I'm going to leave the last word with Mr. Arin Kumar Jain. Mr. Jain, how does one then err at the side of caution as far as these matters are concerned, and now that the Supreme Court has also intervened?
This matter is a serious issue. Supreme Court has said yesterday that we won't protect encroachments on roads, even if it's a temple. It can only be demolished by following procedure as prescribed by law. I am again challenging. Just point one example. When in UP, some development authority vice chairman or some authority has passed an illegal order of demolition. Suppose you come to light, there was a rape of a Dalit girl in Ayodhya. There was a lot of clamor. I have been posted as SSP Faizabad way back in 91, and I have been IG zone of that area for 4 times. People said that this man has encroached on pond land, has filled it with this thing, and he has constructed his bakery on pond land, government land. He has constructed a mall on government land. Survey was done, and it was found that it is absolutely correct. Notices were issued. There was no reply. They waited for the stipulated period, and after that, demolition order was passed. There was one Punjab National Bank building in that structure. They were asked to move out. They moved out. There were 2-3 other tenants. They were asked to move out. They moved out, and after that, it was demolished. Bakery was demolished because it was found that it had been constructed on government land. So if such action is being taken, and people, do you think government should sit idle that we can't do anything about it? If he has done illegal construction, let him do it. Let the court decide about the rape case. No, I don't agree with this at all. There are 3 advocates, senior advocates, with due respect. I am saying judiciary has powers, executive has powers, legislature has powers. Executive is using the powers vested in them. point out one example in which demolition has been ordered and it is not justified. Hang that officer who has passed that order. Yes, they ask for police force and police force is provided. Here in UP, due to some political patronage also, I can say, there are illegal constructions on enemy property, there are illegal constructions on government property, there are illegal constructions on Nazul property, and without bothering for any law, they have constructed huge buildings on those structures, on those lands. Once notices have been issued to you, if I do some illegal construction, I am staying at Lucknow, I will immediately get a notice from LDA. I might not take cognizance. LDA might not demolish it. But if I take law in my hands, if there is clamor that why so much impunity is being given to this person, and there is a survey that please find out if he has committed some irregularity in construction, if he has encroached on government land, notices have been issued to him, what action has been taken. If demolition of illegal part is carried out by government, by the concerning authority, with the protection provided by police, then why are people annoyed because of it that it's bulldozer justice? They are free to approach any court, local court, high court, Supreme Court, and they can go and ask for justice. That illegally my construction has been demolished. I am of the firm view that if mafias, notorious criminals, they have encroached on government land and they are still committing crimes, then action should be taken against them. All pronged action should be there. ED should be there. CBI should be there. The illegal assets should be seized. Under Gangsters Act Section 14, the illegal properties committed, accumulated through proceeds of crimes, they should be confiscated, they should be seized. All possible action should be taken against these people, and it is welcomed by public at large. No injustice should be done to anybody.
Okay,
and
all right.
If there is injustice, there will be hue and cry over it.
Okay.
But if it is being done by following due procedure of law, then it should be welcomed by all.
Okay.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.